So how do you make your characters as interesting as Tarantino? I'm gonna show you some of the techniques that I use in doing my character development, and hopefully it'll help you in writing your screenplay. So let's get to it. So I'm breaking this up into 3 parts. Many times people talk about act 1, 2, and 3, or beginning, middle, and end, setup, build, payoff. So we got 3. Part 1, I wanna give you a few tips. Don't be tempted to start writing your screenplay too soon. Characters need a lot of development, and if you start into your script far too soon, you may not fully understand who your characters are, what their intentions are, all of that. Let's do some development first. One thing that you need to know in writing your screenplay is you need to know your world. You need to understand the world that your story takes place in. And that is just as important to your character development as the character development itself. So understand your world. Next is you need to understand your character. And that's getting to the heart of what we're doing to make characters interesting for your screenplay. Now let's jump to Act 2, Part 2. The middle? Sure, something like that. The first thing that I would recommend is ditch your screenwriting software. You don't need to have everything properly formatted. Just open up either Word document or a Google Doc or something where it's just a document where you're taking notes, writing, and there's no formatting that's going to distract you from writing about your character. It might even be the notepad feature in Final Draft if that's what you use, but make sure you're steering away from your script format software. If it helps you, pull out a pen and paper and just start writing. I've got sometimes notebooks full of stuff where I'm just writing because I don't feel like bringing my computer around. Now, if you are on a computer, there's 2 very useful features that's basically implemented in all Word writing or document writing software, and that's spelling and grammar. Turn them off. The little squiggly line you see under something or a suggestion, turn it off. That's gonna distract you from you really diving deep into your character. This is where we're getting ready to start the whole thing. Set an alarm, a timer, something. 15 minutes, 30 minutes, maybe even an hour, but go short to start. 15 minutes might be a good spot. And if you really think that's too long, go with 5 minutes. In fact, start there and start adding the more you get into it. And that is the length of time you're gonna be writing, nonstop. Which then brings us to Part 3, Act 3, the payoff. This is where your character development really starts to build. Now you set your timer, you got your Word doc open, ready to start writing, your notepad, paper, pen, go and just write. Don't try and redo your grammar or fix your spelling or rewrite a sentence. Just write. If your sentence messes up or it doesn't make sense, forget it. Continue on. You're trying to find out who this character is. Nobody has to read this stuff. This is so you can understand who your character is. Just write. As you're writing, the one thing that I often do and always try not to do is stop and think. That is one of the biggest things that I think keeps people from getting stuff done, is there's more time spent thinking about how they can do it than actually doing it. And another thing when you're writing, if you're stopping to think, you're oftentimes going back and correcting what you've already written. And that's not gonna help you to dive into what this character could be. So just write. Spill everything out of your head onto the sheet of paper that you're writing on And you'll start to see layers peeled away of this character. You'll start to see interesting elements show up. And this is before you even gotten into the screenplay. So this is really exciting, really useful for creating interesting characters that you'll remember and want to go spend time with. As you're writing, a lot of times you run out of ideas. And that is why, just like when I'm writing my scripts, I have escalation lists that I can reference. You can do the same thing for your character development, and that is have a list of questions to reference. Who is your character? Where did they grow up? What's their favorite color? What's their favorite food? Why do they like that food? What kind of car do they drive? Where are they planning to move to? What's their career path? There's all sorts of questions that you can ask about your character that's going to build something interesting, give them a personality that's unique and not just like I'm a big action star and I'm gonna just copy John McClane from Die Hard. That's what you want to avoid, is copying what everyone else has done. Discover something new about your character, something that you didn't know before and you wouldn't know until you started investigating and diving in and asking these questions and trying to learn about this character. In conclusion, this epilogue, you might say, is your character has so many different layers, and the only way you're going to learn about this character and make them interesting is if you spend time with the character, dive deep into what they have to share with you, and that's where you begin to make discoveries. That is also what can get you excited. And then once you've got that all figured out, you've got a character that's interesting and you know how they're going to respond in different situations, and you're not writing characters that go out of character. I'm not the only one who does this. In fact, there's this great article in Movie Maker magazine where they interviewed Quentin Tarantino, and he talked about all of the time he spent with his characters for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood before he even started deciding what story he was going to write about those characters. He developed pages upon pages. In fact, I even heard that Kill Bill, he wrote over 800 pages before he even split it down to what it was in the movie that we see today. So, spend time with your characters. As Tarantino said in this interview, you have to think as a writer and not as a director writing something that you're going to direct. Come up with a story that people want to invest their time in. In doing that, you'll have to spend time developing characters. Now, I'm not just going to leave you hanging. I've created a list of questions that you can ask yourself when you're developing your characters, and you can download that for free from my website. The idea of this list is to help get you started in development and add your own questions to this list. Paste it by your computer, paste it in your notebook so that when you get stuck, you can jump over to those questions and start answering them. And ideally, this will help to make amazing characters for your stories. Also, if you're interested, I am going to give you a weekly dose of micro-budget filmmaking tips, resources, and stories that you can get directly to your inbox. So sign up for the newsletter on my website, or if you download the questions, it can just be added straight there. That way we can keep in touch when I am not posting videos. Till next time, like this video, subscribe, all the things. Leave me a comment below if you feel like it, and I'll see you in the next video.